Yeah, what up, what up, what up, what up? Welcome back to the Dour Hour. I am Joe the Engineer, and you are the 333. What up, everybody? It's December 15th, 2022, and it is cold and rainy in New York. I hope everything is dope where you are at. I had just rolled up some 333. It is time to smoke and talk about it. Vita, what up, homie? Richie, what up? Andrew, what's poppin'? What you guys want to talk about today? Sometimes I should really plan this shit out, but I don't. That is for sure. So, a continuation on yesterday with DJ Twitch and his suicide. Ellen had posted, her little memorial post or whatever. And underneath of it, of course, I had to say something because I was in one of those moods. And I effectively said, oh, he knew about you trafficking children out of Haiti through Wayfair. So you had to Clinton him. Not funny, because it's probably fucking true. And boy, am I getting flamed on Instagram by some of Ellen's people. I guess, our fans or whatever, but everybody's saying how insensitive I am and how I'm an absolute and total psychopath who needs to get mental health help. Well, all that might be true, but that does not discount the fact that Ellen has visited Epstein's Island, and so did her wife, Portia, whatever her last name is. Now, anybody, and I mean anybody, who went to that island can fuck off, because everybody knew he was already a convicted child predator before most of these people took these trips to this island. He had gotten convicted in Miami, and then, the judge or the prosecuting attorney or whatever just gave him a non-jail time, no jail time or nothing, so he had admitted to it. But anybody who went to that island can fuck off. You guys knew he was touching kids and it was a blackmail operation. You went there anyway. So you were either there to touch kids or you were with the shits. Also, why the fuck was I going off? Well, if I was his family, which one person took the time to actually DM me and say you need to think about his family. Well, if I was his family, I would want to know that he did not commit suicide. Because, essentially, you're going to carry the burdens of what did I miss, what could I have said, what could I have done for the rest of your life if that's what you think happened. So that family does not need to carry that burden because he ain't kill himself. Anyway, that's what's been going on. I'm starting to get back into the music mode. It's got me exhausted. I haven't slept in a couple days, but that's what creativity does to you. You know how it is. You burn the candle at both ends and from the middle also sometimes. What you gonna do? Just keep on grinding. Why have I been going off lately? Because eventually they're going to implement a social credit score in this country. And I'm going to have to say all this shit and do all the things that I would normally have done anyway before they make it impossible to do so. So they're implementing a social credit score in Canada already, and they have one in China that's been active for a while. I'm still holding on, Mita. I am not actively purchasing or selling any of my crypto. I am just sitting back and watching the industry to see what's going to happen next, especially with the FTX collapse, and then more recently, the amount of people who have been taking their funds out of Binance. Now, the way that this crypto works, though, the way the crypto market works, when all these people started to pull their funds out of Binance, that made the available pool of crypto that's being traded, bought, or sold smaller, which in turn increased the value. And then once these people started to sell off their assets, these assets now became part of the pool again, which we're now seeing a downturn. It was Bitcoin was above 18,000 yesterday for a brief moment, but we have seen it slowly and steadily decline from 18 back into the lower 17s over the course of the day. So it's funny. It's funny, well, it's not funny. It's just, it is what it is. Once you learn how and why the market and value of things moves, I guess if you were really super active, you could stay in front of it, and that's how you could trade and have this be a huge financial come up for you. But I'm not active. It wasn't like I was super early, but I got into Bitcoin early enough that even still at today's prices, I'm way up from whatever I might have invested into it. So it's all good with me. I hope that anybody who did get into it smart enough to move and operate within the matrix. There's definitely going to be a social credit score. They're already implementing it in other countries, and Canada is openly talking about their social credit score. Now, what's different about Canada's social credit score and what Trudeau wants to do up there is that they're trying to craft legislation to make the social credit score tied to your ability to even go online or onto social media. So if they can get passed and built the system that they want, supposedly, I'm not Canadian, but I have been reading about this because it's happening elsewhere. It's going to happen here. Supposedly, you won't even be able to go on social media if your social credit score isn't high enough. Not even able to access it. And even if you are able to access social media and the internet and whatnot, then you have to give up. Well, not give up. Let's say you have to give them the ability to track all of your conversations and your private messages and all of your private details. So basically everything that you say and do on any social media or the internet will be part of the aggregate social credit score. So we're in a very scary place if this comes true, because they'll have essentially stifled, I don't want to call it free speech. They will have stifled any speech that does not go with the narrative they're wishing to create. So it's never going to be a good thing, no matter what. I believe 100% in free speech, but I also believe that there are consequences for the things that come out of your mouth. Free speech is free speech, and you can say anything, but you can't just walk up to some random person and call them a bitch to their face and not expect to get punched in the face. Now, do I think that you should be able to stop people from criticizing? Essentially, when you stifle free speech, the people in power are stifling free speech because they want to stifle any criticism of anything they have said or done or will do or will say, because they have to create and craft the narrative and the image that they are these benevolent rulers who have the public's best interest at heart, when they 100% don't. Not at the higher levels of public service. At the lower levels, I believe most people get in on the lower levels because they are slightly altruistic and they want to do good things with their time and whatnot, but that's not what it ends up happening. So, Vita, the interesting thing about crypto right now is the U.S. is currently crafting and trying to adopt a digital dollar. And it's funny because as soon as they said that, the rumors were that they were going to build it off of the XRP blockchain, so off of Ripple. And I mean, if that's true, then buy Ripple. It's cheap. You can get a bunch of it for cheap, and then just you won't really have lost too much. And then if that's the case, that it does become the backbone for the digital dollar, then your small investment should pay out in the long run. Now, I've also seen a couple articles, heard some rumors about other countries besides Ecuador adopting Bitcoin as a form of currency. So Ecuador went full in on Bitcoin. And now I'm also seeing that possibly Argentina wants to get in on that action. Because people had assumed that Ecuador was just going to collapse completely after that happened, but it never happened. So it's, what are you basing your country's equity off of anyway? If you're not an oil producing company or country, then what are you basing it off of? What? So, and it's supposed to be backed by gold or reserves. You know, a lot of these smaller countries don't have either. So it's interesting. You know, it's kind of like when the internet first came out. It was so new and like only nerds fucked with it, and people didn't really know what its capabilities were or what the possibilities were with this new tool, with this new apparatus in front of them. And now the same thing's been happening with blockchain technology. So, I mean, there's like millions and millions and millions of blockchain projects out there. It's just which ones are going to actually become a viable service or a viable technology or something that's going to be implemented on a much larger scale. We'll never know. The ideas of it are solid and whatnot, but we'll never know. But yeah, XRP, Ripple, I guess that's the one to rock with, because it's, I don't even know how much it is right now. I haven't looked in forever, but I know it's cheap. It's only a couple cents, so you could spend $10 and then, you know, have $100, have thousands of them or whatever. And then if it does get flipped, that would be a very, very sound investment. Anyway, enough of that nonsense. What's up, everybody? OJ, what up, homie? What's everybody been doing? It is Thursday. I do need to go see my homies over at Legacy Dumbo and drop off some hoodies, which I'm going to after the Dour Hour. If you are in New York and you are a vinyl head, make sure you stop in and check them out. They have absolutely been killing it. I do not like the AI that's stemming tracks. Just like the visual graphics artists who don't like this AI art. So I just saw a post today about the Lensa app, and in the user agreement, the 5th item down says that any image that you submit to Lensa, they now have ownership over, and they can do literally whatever the fuck they want with it. They can manipulate it, they can sell it, they can monetize it, they can farm it for information and then sell that information. They can also sell the images as a massive database. Like, it's really nuts. You actually have to read these user agreements to see how these companies are going to use your data, because that's what everything is about right now, is data and monetizing this data that you can collect and send back to the AI so it can get smarter and whatnot. So the fact that things like that exist, I mean, that's basically stealing people's art and then breaking it into the pieces that they use to create it and telling you to go change their art however you fucking feel like it. And as a producer, I'm not with it. I'm not with it. I don't know. It'd be like going to the museum taking a painting off the wall, taking all the paint off of it into separate colors, flip it into something else, and then selling it and saying it was yours. I don't know. I'm waiting on you. Yo, Cooler, I don't actually have your email. I literally have the composition mail right here, and I went to go type in and find your email, and I don't even know what it is. I mean, why do you want the stems of another artist? Maybe that's the question that I should be asking. As a producer, like, make your own shit. A remix is a remix. I get it, but like, dude, I literally do not have your email. I don't know. I don't remember. I put in Cooler, it doesn't come up. I put in your last name, nothing comes up. I even put in Shade Gang Crazy. Nothing came up in my Gmail. So, text me your email, dude. Don't shore me. You know, I might be a lot of things, but one thing I am not is a liar, homie. So you should know that. I pretty much keep it funky like an old toenail is what I used to say to P all the time. Larry Bird, what up, homie? That's what I'm saying. I don't even know what your email is. Yeah, I'm just now getting back into the music making process. It was good to take a break, be a Billy Lyons for a year straight. Just, I think we didn't even burn the candle for both ends. We just incinerated it. And you do need to take a break when you're creating. You know, creative energy costs a lot. It when you expend it, it really exhausts you. And there were no breaks. I just saw a Q&A from Beat Butcher where one of the questions was, you know, do you take any time off? And he said at least one day a week he makes sure that he takes it that day for himself and doesn't make any music or even think about it. So you do have to take breaks. You will burn yourself out, and if you burn yourself out enough, then you just won't want to do it anymore. And we are supposed to create. Yeah, Cooler, look, this is a Zoom window. I've been waiting. I shout out to Bugs. If I have not seen him posting on social media for months, and he is very, very, very active on social media. So that's usually never a good sign, but I hope he's just doing something and not in any type of legal scenario, which I had heard, I actually read about. Um, Bugs is one of the few people. All right, so there's like certain labels that I would put on artists as they're coming in and out of Infamous, to try to, like, in my own way, like, what categories do these. What email? You got to text me, dude, or you probably just DM'd me. Hold on, I got you, homie. Anyway, Bugs had mastered what was the only social media at the time was Twitter. So he had kind of, well, I guess Facebook, but he was on his grind on social media before anybody that I saw. And also, the other category that I would place him in is his voice always sounded the same. every single time. It did not matter. He knew exactly how to stay within a pocket and keep it consistent. Havoc, excellent at that. Hav's voice sounds exactly the same pocket, same presence, everything, at all times. And that makes it really easy to record. Now you can't send links or email addresses and links and shit in YouTube chats, homie. They don't like that shit. It tries to filter out all the people who come in and spam the death, like all the sex bots. We haven't had any suck bots, so the Dour Hour is not a big enough show. It's funny because we would get suck bots in the gray matter in the football chat all the time. Vegas knows because I empowered him with the wrench of destiny by his name so that he can stomp them out immediately upon the suck bots popping in. It's funny because they were always like Russian too. Cash Bills was another artist who vocals are just locked in. It's just you know exactly what you're going to get out of it. And as a tracking engineer, it makes it really, really easy. I think Havoc is probably one of the easiest artists to record that I've ever been around. Quick, efficient, does not move, pocket is locked in, inflection, perfect. Presence, everything is just a polished delivery, and holy shit, it's the Dour people. You're connecting to audio, Dour people. There's the Dour people.
Does it work?
Yep.
I know I had to do some shit last time where I mute things and I don't know what's going on.
No, it's fun because I'm not playing music. It's fine when I'm not playing music. So, everybody, this is my esteemed co-host, Dour people.
What up?
He literally coined the term dour and said it so many motherfucking times, even though it wasn't. It's already a word, but not the way he was using it.
Can't help but participate once you hear about the dye. Once you smell it, it's a whole other story.
Yo, but he said the word dour so many motherfucking times at the studio that it just became a thing. Now, the funny part is he also, Seth, what up, homie? He also tried to coin many other terms, and I was just like, no, we're not doing this. We're not going to fucking do this. This guy literally was making up his own language. Anyway, yes, this is the Dour people. What up, Dour people? What the fuck are you doing? Why are you not dowering?
Chilling. I'm wasting a bunch of time getting jerked around as usual. It's a fantastic day. I had a lot of things crash and burn, so I'm here, man. What's good?
Oh, sounds like you're here on your first episode of the Dour Hour on a positive note. This is fucking awesome.
Yeah. What were we talking about though? What were we talking about?
Well, what I was just last talking about was Havoc. How easy it is to record Hav, because he doesn't move. He knows exactly where to stand for his voice to be the exact same presence and inflection every fucking time. He is lightning quick. He is only going. He's not wasting no time in there.
I don't think I ever recorded Hav.
I mean, P was super easy, but P would like to go in and try to feel things out. So he might be in the booth for like a solid 20 minutes. That would be the only difference between the two of them is, but Havoc was so ridiculously fast. He would come in to the studio. I'd play the beat, whatever. When he got into the booth, maybe 6-7 minutes total to do a verse, and then he wouldn't even come back in to hear it. He would just walk right out the door, and I'd see him go get in his truck, and the truck would just pull off with his camera.
I was anxious. And, I remember one time we was at 104th, This is when they were beefing or whatever the fuck. And he runs in and he's just like, yo, P here, just out 1 second. He's looking for his Newports. He forgot his Newports and he was bugging out. I don't know, that shit was crazy.
Nah, but he literally would record. He would listen to it back once he heard it, and he knew. He would just, all right, and he'd just walk out the door, and then I just knew the game plan. All right, let me send it to him. I'm just gonna send it to him, but like he wouldn't even come back in the live room at all. Now the other weird thing about Hav, and he's the first person that I ever saw do this, is he would also come in sometimes and be like, "Yo, put the beat on," and then go fall asleep while it's playing, and then wake up and then just write his verse and then go do it. I'd be like, so you did that while you were asleep? And he was just like, yeah, kid, I learned how to do that a long time ago making beats.
I think he told me, someone, for some reason I knew that, or there's some story about I guess it was him when they did The Realist. That's how he did his verse or some shit like that. I don't know why I think this. I heard this somewhere.
Yeah, I've seen it many times. He said he had done it. They said he always used to sleep under the console. He'd put the beat on and go sleep under under the console or whatnot. Because, there's those old giant consoles. They always said that there's an energy that lives inside of them and whatnot. So I guess he's trying to work off of that energy. But he'd get up, write his verse, go right in. I'd be like, yo, you really did that while you were sleeping, huh? So I have actually done that before. I tried it. You can do it. It's interesting. Like, you could put, like, if you're working on a beat and you're kind of stuck, you could go to sleep with it on and wake up, and you'll have instant ideas of what you wanted to do. I guess if you're a rapper, you could do the same thing. I don't rap, so I ain't writing rhymes, homie.
Yeah, I imagine it's something like freestyling. I've never done that before, but it's like feeling just something, because you're not awake. I could understand how it might work.
Yeah,
it's like how we used to do freestyle records where you just punch in every bar to sound much different than some shit somebody wrote.
Yeah,
based off the energy.
I was never a big fan of the punch style, so there are artists who will do a bar and then come back and listen to that and then just build off of that and build 16 bars that way. That's how Hollow would write, but this is why Hollow was unique, though. He would do that, and then once he had the 16, he'd do the 16 in one take. So his ability to remember what he was doing was completely different.
Well, the unshit was different too. The punt, but he would go in and out. But I know I was never really a fan of the punching shit. It's like it just, I don't know.
I always told an artist, because you know me, like, nah, we're not doing that shit. A, that's an annoying fucking session, and B, come on, really. I was always used to tell them, you can't punch in when you perform. So you should probably go in there and perform it. They usually work, though. That was usually a good way. So if you do record with somebody who wants to do things like that, just tell them they can't punch in when they perform, and that the booth is a performance. And
you got Mr. Cheeks it when you're in there.
All right, so Mr. Cheeks, that was a whole different scenario because he likes to look down when he raps, and he kind of it's not the most. His voice isn't that dominant or whatnot, so. It was like I had to really try to figure out, like, how am I going to, like, I need to go move the mic to, like, lower and whatnot. So I did all that, right? And then after the session, I called my mentor, LB, because LB used to record Mr. Cheeks all the time. And I was just like, yo, what do you do with Mr. Cheeks? He said, yo, just let him hold the mic. I was just like, oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Why did I think of that? Why did I fucking think of that? Because, I mean, that's how he was doing it, and I didn't, I was so like, this is exactly how you're supposed to record to have the best possible outcome whatsoever. This is how we do things. Put your fist like this and your mouth, and all that shit. Like,
hey, yo.
Nah, because you always put your hand like this, between the mic and your face, and that's the gap that you
Well,
need.
for the
And then treat the microphone like it's an ear that you're talking to. You don't have to scream into that shit. So the first session that me and P did, when after the rush of humanity that was coming to Infamous Studios for the first couple of days while he was home, and it was just me and him. On his first take, I just stopped him. I was just like, "Yo, you don't have to do that." He's just like, "What?" I was like, "You don't have to yell, dude. That's what I'm here for." And
What song was that?
uh
Remember?
it was probably something off of Bumpy Johnson or the Most Infamous, because it was that era, or probably something that didn't come out because there's 1,000 of them. Because that time period was more about the exercise of getting back into being a rapper or whatnot. So, but I was just like, "Yo, you don't have to do that," and he was just like, "Yo, you mean I can just talk to him?" And I was just like, "Yeah, of course." And then he changed. Because everyone always said, like, "Yo, P yells. Like, he yells like he's on stage. You have to take the Avalon 737 with him and negative gain it. You can't actually use a gain on him because he's, like, going." And I was just like, "Yo, you don't have to do that, dude." So there was a...
It's funny if you listen to Black Cocaine, he's yelling on the Bounty Killer song, but every other song is just regular.
Well, so maybe it was the Black Cocaine sessions and whatnot, because that was also the first project they worked on post his release. But yeah, there was a definite change. You could blame me for it. I do remember a lot of fans getting mad and being like, "Yo, man, P sounds like P's just talking now." I'm just like, well, it's because that's all he's wanted. It's what he wanted to do, because it was time to, like, start dumping his knowledge on these on the listeners and whatnot. So yeah, I guess I'm kind of to blame for that. Whatever.
So good, man. Some things came out of that.
Yo, so how is it downtown today?
It's a beautiful, sunny. Nah, it's mad rainy and crazy out, but it's nice. Just came from downtown, handling some things.
Yeah, Larry Bird, you could definitely see the notice more laid back flow whenever he got with me, because that's it's all about, like, being able to hear every word and properly emoting depending on which track it is. Now, if it's a hype track, then I'm going to tell you, like, you got to get into this one. The track calls for it. So my favorite thing to say to rappers in the studio, if they weren't doing anything that I liked, was, "I don't believe you." That one was fun. Yo, I don't believe you. Yo, they used to get so mad at me, like, "Yo, what the fuck are you talking about?" I'm like, it's not what you're saying. I actually don't care what you're saying. It's how you're saying it. I don't believe you. You're just going through the motions. This isn't, like, you're not putting yourself into it. So, these are the type of things that I would say to rappers, which is, now that I look back on doing that, was absolutely fucking insane. So stupid.
It sounds like a graduation from what you used to tell them after Mozzie.
Also, the Mozzie story is one of my favorite what the fuck was I thinking moments in rap history. So, Maserati Fox had hijacked Infamous Studios for about a month straight. He came in every day and just was there all day and wouldn't let anyone else book sessions. And Mozzie was definitely a special individual. I do not think there was another Maserati Fox in existence.
That's a piece of Fox, man.
It's not possible that there was another version of him. So Mozzie was mumble rap before there was mumble rap. Like, that's just how he was. And for this particular track, he decided that he was going to stand about 5 feet back from the microphone, so you can't really hear him. And he was hyped about this song because he was going completely side to side in the booth, which means you got the Doppler effect where his mumbling was just like
bouncing around. Yeah.
And I was just like, what in the actual fuck? I cannot understand a word he is saying, and it is my job to hear words, right? The third factor in the downfall of this session was he had multiple chains on, and since he's going back and forth. They're just clanging into each other, and that's all you can really hear is these chains banging each other.
It was
And
the G Unit days.
yeah, he had
You can hear that. And all the G Unit mixtapes, son. If you listen closely, you can hear all the jewelry in the background of freestyles. Like,
yo, he had that Metro card chain. It was a Metro card, and he also had the Pepsi chain that he had hustled Pepsi out of because Mozzie used to use 50's name to get deals and shit. 50 was not happy about that shit, but Mozzie got cars, some jewelry. Like, he was a hustler for sure. So anyway, he all you can hear is chains and mumbling, and I'm just like, Mozzie had been there about 30 days. We had a pretty solid working relationship. I knew all the dumb outs. It's whatever. Like, I feel like I had the levity to say this to him at this moment. So when he's done with this take, he's just like, yo, JoJo, let me hear that back. I'm like, yo, Mozzie, this sounds like shit. Volcanic eruption in the booth. He took the headphones and slammed them up against the window. He's like, are you fucking crazy? And he just comes into the studio and just starts going off. And it's actually really funny, the shit he was saying, because it's just like, this is not the most intimidating thing to say to me. He's just like, this isn't Quad Studios, this is Queens. You need to know where you're at. He's like, I've been on the stage with Fifth. I performed with the big homie. And he's yelling at me. And I'm just like, now luckily, Nice was there. So I'm just like looking at Nice, and he's trying to chill Mozzie out. And, you know, he was walking back and forth, and I'm at the captain's chair, so there's only one door out of that studio, so there's no way for me to navigate myself into safety in any way whatsoever, so I'm just basically going to have to experience what's about to happen right now. So I look over at the dumb outs, and there's lots of hands on waist at that moment. I'm just like, shit, this isn't good. I know what they're reaching for. So when he was during his tirade of yelling at me and telling me that, like, you know, I'm an idiot or whatnot, in so many more words, he took a breath, right? And I just hit play. And he heard it. He just stopped, and he's looking at the speakers, and you could just hear chains clang, 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 clang. You can't hear a fucking word he's saying. And he looks at me, and he walks over, and he shakes my hand, and he says, I'm sorry, Joe. How many times do you think Maserati Fox has actually apologized to somebody? Very rarely. It's the Fox. He ain't apologizing for shit. So, you know, it's the power of rap and music, because all I had to do was hit play to get him to calm down. So like, he'd understand. Now, I probably should have used different words, but I thought him and I were comfortable in that moment. And then I could tell him, like, yo, this sounds like shit, dude. And right. I was just like, yo, it's not, you know, you always try to convey that it's not you, it's the recording itself. Like, we need to alter something here. This is not going to sound good. It's really my fault, is what I'm trying to say to him, but it's not. I didn't tell him to stand 5 feet away from the mic and dance with his 7 chains, or his Pepsi chain and his Metro card chain banging into each other.
Yo, that's crazy. I never knew he had a Pepsi chain.
Yeah, he had a Pepsi chain. That shit was hysterical. So, after that, I think Mozzie had a definite affinity for me as a human being, because then Mozzie Claus came to the studio, because he showed up one day with, like, it was a bag, like a laundry bag full of shoes. And he just gave, like, here you go. And it was just like, I don't know, 60 pair of shoes. I guess he had cleaned out his closet, and he was just like, here you go, homie. And I was just like, okay, like, I'd rather get paid for these sessions, but, like, thanks. Like, we have a bunch of shoes now. Anybody want some used shoes? None of them were new. You know, it was definitely a closet clean out job. But I'm just like, all right, this is the most ridiculous thing that any rapper has ever given me in the studio. That is for sure.
I missed a couple of those, if I could recall.
So there was one incident where you were there for Mozzie, when when MA came to the studio. So MA was a rapper who sounded like he was from Louisiana but was actually from Chicago. And MA was the wildest human being who has ever. Look at Lowell's face. Look at his face.
Shouts to MA, yo.
MA is the wildest human being who has ever existed. All right, so everybody knows that Mozzie is an absolute. Oh, see, we got kicked off the internet. Oh, we're back. Anyway, everyone knows that Mozzie is an absolute and total, like, he's the fox. Like, it's going to happen to you. Like, you don't get shit misconstrued and don't do anything to cross the fox. Just, let's keep things copacetic. And it's him and the dumb outs, which, they're the dumb outs. They dumb out. There's a lot of years behind bars amongst these people in their future. And MA comes into the studio, and I don't know, he had to have been drunk. He was always drunk. But he walks up to Mozzie.
Man, that's your liquor, man.
We're talking like nobody introduced him to anybody. He just walks in the middle of their session, and he just walks straight up to Mozzie and is just like, hey, who liquor this is? And he just grabs their bottle and just takes a drink. And I'm just like, they're going to kill him. I'm just thinking in my mind, like, just move as far away from him as possible. They're about to body him in here because this is absolute insanity. And then he looks over at Mozzie. Now, this is where it gets real insane. He's just like, and he grabs one of his chains that's on his neck and he starts lifting up. He goes like, damn, this chain heavy as hell. I think Mozzie was so caught off guard by how insane this was that he just kind of respected it. I think that was another insane human being who saw another insane human being and was just like, all right, I get it. I can respect this, because how did he walk away from that scenario unscathed? I have no fucking clue.
What did he say? Cash was like, yo, chill. He's like, yo, what you mean chill? Like, we the ones they should be. Like, he said some crazy shit.
Yeah, he was just like, oh, man. And I think if I look back at it now with a different perspective, that Mozzie was probably looking at him like, yo, I could use this one.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how Mozzie would think, like, oh, yeah, I could use this guy as a nut. I could absolutely use him to do something that I don't necessarily need to do myself. But R.I.P. to Maserati Fox. That was an absolutely special individual. And shout out to M.A., who knows where M.A.'s at in the universe, man. That's the wildest human being of all time. He just moved to New York on a whim and was just like sleeping at Coney Island, like on the beach or something. Like, and then, when asked what it is that you're like, why, he's just like, nah, I came to rap. And it's just, I don't think he was really necessarily doing anything to further his rap career in any way whatsoever with his time in New York. That's for sure. I think he definitely could have been a dumb out, though, now that I think about it.
For 100%. I mean, that makes sense, yo. What's fucked up is, though, we had recorded, I have mad MA sessions and songs and features, but everything got too much yelling and liquor, so it's like, with intentions of re-recording shit. He was in the group too, if you remember. We had it was like we were trying to, that shit was just, it didn't pan out. It's unfortunate, but MA was fucking the energy. I love the energy.
I did not love the energy at all. What are you fucking doing with yourself? This is a laboratory. We are here to create science. What is going on with this? It's thinking about like all those Mozzie sessions, like, there's none of that music ever been heard by anybody,
right?
So it's I wonder where all these archives of all this time and this creative moments are just sitting on very, very old hard drives.
The story of the fucking of the rap game, man. There's so much shit that's just lost Yeah.
lost or just sitting somewhere because the amount of music. Well, now it's a little bit different. Now with streaming and you can just use DistroKid and your music is now distributed to every digital platform that exists. So you can put out music at will. But back in even in that era, it's not easy to put out music. Like you can, make a mixtape or whatnot and like try to pump it, or if you have like some DJs that'll play your stuff. But even for those people, 98 to 99% of the music that you create is not going to be heard by more than just your circle of humans. Now it's different. Like you can literally put it out and you'll have people in Iceland that have somehow found your music. So
Yeah.
it's different, but it also creates the drop of water in the ocean effect. How do you find one drop of water in the ocean? And that's what creating music is right now, because there is so much fucking media. There's
a lot of liquids out there.
Dude, there is there is so much music that's being put out, and everything that gets put out is another layer before someone might find your song. It's just like every single thing is another one. And as time goes by, since so much stuff is being created, it just gets lost. So that's why I was thinking the other day is I wonder how long this SZA album is going to be in rotation. Because even with mega records, it's a couple weeks. If you can if you can hold on to the public's attention for a couple weeks, you have really achieved something right now. And I'm talking like 6 weeks. If you can, like 4 to 6 weeks, if you have them for a month, you've got a smash hit, because there's so much. It's just more and more and more every day. So even if a mega artist puts out something, you might get a 1 or 2 week run. Like Drake's album that just came out, like 2 weeks before people stopped talking about it and moved on to the next thing. When Kendrick comes out, you get like a month or so, maybe 2. You're not. It's not going to last like a full. It's not going to be in heavy rotation for a year.
Well, that's why I understand why they would do the later single. Like you remember how it used to be when an album would drop that a year later they still put out the last single or video from that shit, like right before their new shit's about like type shit. It's like, yo, you really stretch out the promotion like that.
Well, you would do that on purpose because that's the only way that you could keep it relevant.
Right.
So but now
it was just different too. It wasn't.
Now it's just instant. Like even the song that I was working on last night, I could upload it and it'll be out in a week. And available.
What's up with this Colby O'Donis album we working on? How long have you been fucking with Colby O'Donis,
yo? I don't know. I was just like, who the fuck is Colby O'Donis? I had no idea. I should have known, because isn't his son named Adonis or something?
Nah, it's some.
Wait, that's Drake's kid that's named Adonis, right?
I think. I don't.
Yeah, who the fuck is Colby O'Donis?
He's some artist that Akon signed. He was like a kid. He had some huge hit single. You remember when the switch happened in 2008? I still to this day, I don't understand what happened. But he has some song that like Akon signed this kid, and he put out some video. It was just like this really funny, like, if you heard it, you'll be like, holy shit, this sounds like 2008. Like I remember this, like, but it was really like, it was like laughably bad, but it was still like a hit song that they made work. And I never heard it. I heard it like last year during 2 years ago during quarantine or some shit. And I'm just like, yo, what the fuck is this? You got all those people in the comments like, oh, this was my favorite song. It's like, I never heard this shit. That's when I realized that regional hits were a thing. This was like popular in Canada or some shit. We never heard this. I never even heard this shit before. Yeah. We got another one. Akon signed Cardinal Official.
See, I know who that is.
Right. This was like some kid. I don't know. Yo, Akon was killing it. Yo, didn't you do an Akon record before?
Yes, I did do an Akon record before. And, like if I ever do my resume, I always forget. That's for some reason I always forget that, because it was so early on. Like that was the first song that I actually mixed at Infamous Records at Infamous Studios. So Yeah, I did not. I did see this the other day. Gucci Man just dropped a 80 song project that is 4 hours long. Are you going to listen to it? 80 songs, dude.
Isn't he bipolar?
I don't know, but 80
Is with all
songs.
the bipolar, you got Kanye, you got Game, they all doing these million song compilations. Like, yo, who, if this shit is exhausting, if you know any bipolar people who be going through wild shit, it's like, yo, it's exhausting.
Yeah, of course it is.
Because this is exactly how the bodies of music look. It's just like, I don't even have, how am I going to listen to all of this?
That's hilarious. Um, you are correct though, because 80 songs in 4 hours is too much to ask of anybody. The human,
That's next level.
well, we're not built for that right now, dude. So songs can't even be 3 verses because we're not built for that attention span anymore.
That's what I'm saying.
80 songs is completely insane.
That's double their shit. That's double the Donda and the game shit. Like
84 hours of Gucci, like if something's going to be a 4 hour 80 song diatribe, it better be the most thought provoking, informative, educational body of work ever, or it has to be
like the whole Hegelian together. Or
it's
some
got to
shit.
be like Trapped in the Closet and be some outrageously absurd tale.
Yo, did you hear that album?
Not all of it.
Do you know what I'm talking
Oh
about?
no, so yeah, that's another thing that happened recently in the music world. This is why I needed a co-host instead of me just getting high and talking about nonsense. So R. Kelly also supposedly released allegedly released an album on streaming services from prison. Interesting. Now he says that he had nothing to do with it, which would make me think that it's somehow like the label did it, like, or the people who have control of his music, which given his legal scenario, who the fuck even knows who controls his shit? Like, who knows?
Could have been a producer. I was trying to figure that out.
Yeah, it could be a producer that he worked with previously who has all these unreleased records, because I imagine when you're R. Kelly, you had all you do, well, that's not all you do is make music, but you make tons and tons and tons of music, and you have a bunch of unreleased material, as every artist does. So who knows who put it out, but an R. Kelly project came out. Now this I actually would listen to. I didn't get a chance to because it only hit streaming services. It's not like I imagine that somebody downloaded it and it's out there, but I'm not really going to look for it. But I would listen to at least a couple records just because I have to hear it. But here's what makes me think that it was not him and he had nothing to do with it. The title of the project was called "I Confess" or something like that.
I Admit It.
Yeah.
But there's a 20-minute song called "I Admit It" that's split into 3 parts at the end of the album.
So you did hear it?
I heard this song during the surviving R. Kelly shit, which was why it was so crazy, because it's like, yo, like he's talking about like, oh, like I like young girls, but I like older women too. Like, does that make me a pedophile? It's just like,
what, he's singing this?
He's singing all this shit.
Oh
yeah,
my
like,
god, R. Kelly is the best. Yo, so he I know you've seen the video where he's like performing somewhere in Africa and he's singing to the girls, asking them if they have their passports and their shots. Do you want to come with me to America? Have you seen this video?
I don't think so.
Oh my god, I have to pull this up before we end this episode of the Dour Hour. And he's singing it. Like, he's actually singing this. And you can see exactly what you're getting into with R. Kelly. It's on apparently we can listen to it on YouTube. People have uploaded the new one. So yeah, you got to hear this, dude.
Yeah, send that to me.
Let's settle down for a second so I can talk to y'all for a second. I got a problem.
This man is a predator.
The day before I got on the plane to come out here,
Yeah, that shit was crazy, man. That shit was
me and my
nuts.
girl broke up.
Oh, now
I
he's
forgot. There's so much shit that happened since then in the world. I like almost that shit. Like it's kind of foggy to me, but it's also just like, yo, what the fuck, man?
Over something.
It's crazy.
Is there anybody out there single?
I shouldn't be laughing
That
at
broke
this.
up with a man and they looking for somebody else right now.
But me and Pete used to watch this all the time, dude. It's so.
You gotta be single.
Yeah, you gotta send me
You
that.
gotta be single. Single ladies, put your hands in the air right now so I can see you. Get to know you. Hard to get back
This
and
is
forth.
from back then.
I got it.
Yeah,
Do
he's in
you have
Ethiopia.
your passport? Did you get your
How
shots?
old is this?
Girl, would you like to come back with
Because y'all, I
Rob
swear to God, when he
America?
You don't hear
like,
it?
Nah, I don't hear it.
America.
Hold on, I'm letting it play.
Do you have your passport?
Dude.
Did you get your shots? Girl, would you like to come back with Rob to America?
Dude, the band's playing and everything, and the backup singers are doing ad libs. He's literally singing, "Do you have your passport? Did you get your shots? Do you want to come back to Rob, or with Rob to America?" Like, whole crowd, like, this is what he. How did nobody see this coming? You know, like, that's also the other side of the music industry and the entertainment industry is when somebody is generating an awful lot of money for an awful lot of people, they will let them get away with an awful lot of terrible things because a lot of people are dependent upon that person. It's a huge machine and whatnot. And sometimes the machine turns these artists into these awful people because it is a terrible industry. But yeah, this is literally like the Trapped in the Closet thing. I don't know how many episodes he did of that. Like, I know it was just this big, long, it was supposed to be like a hip-hop opera or some shit like that. I know South Park made fun of it, which was hysterical, but, you know, after the first episode, I was good on Trapped in a Closet. It was...
Still don't think I've seen all of them shits. Like, he would keep coming out with more. You see, like, 11, you would think that you saw it all, and then it goes into the 20s, like, later on. I swear to God, I never saw the whole shit. When the midget comes out, it just starts to get wild. Like, that shit was ridiculous, bro. I'm pretty sure he knew what he was doing. Like, as long as I could make people laugh, they're going to forget about all of this piss shit. Oh, I don't know, man. Like,
you might be right. That might have been his tactic because it worked for a little bit. But there are 12 episodes of Trapped in the Closet. Some of them are only like 3 minutes. But... yeah, wow. What a visionary, I guess. he said that was going to keep them laughing and they're going to forget about all this pissing. That's hysterical. But it might be factually true because it was effective. That is outrageous. Oh my God. So yeah, dude, 3:33, now that I got your email, you know, I'll send it to you at 3:33. If you're busy, I know you won't pop in. This happens with Carrie for Gray Matter. Sometimes he can't, like, make it, but I still always... and Nice never, ever shows up for... and, yo, Nice, I don't know why. The Jets are actually good this year, so you should pop by. Anyway, I know he's super busy, like, doing music things with Ito, and, like, I think I actually just saw he was, like, performing overseas or, like, in the islands or something. So... shout out to my motherfucking homie Nice. The Jets still suck. I don't care. But yeah, the Dour Hour is basically it. You need a dour tomorrow, though, to make it the Dour Hour. I know you've dowered today, so don't lie to me.
Nah, I didn't smoke yet, but we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it acquitted. You know?
Because it'll be much funnier when you are dowered because you are ridiculous. That is for sure. So, Shout out to everybody for coming through. It's Thursday. I'll see you tomorrow for tomorrow morning meditation whenever I wake up.
It's Dour Thursday. You know I had to pop in.
And then I guess we'll see the Dour people tomorrow at 3:33. Until then, yeah, stay dowered.
Smoke some, man.